Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of UCook. Today I'm very excited to share with you guys that I won a UCook voucher. I mean, how perfect for me. I love cooking. So I got my first delivery today and I want to try a few recipes, starting with this baby. Oh, sorry. So this is a crispy pork Milanese. Milanese apparently is Italian for like schnitzel. It's going to be crumbed, and this specifically is crumbed in Panko breadcrumbs. Very crispy, very excited. And I am also going to make a lemon burnt butter sauce with that, with a salad. I mean, it's right up my alley. Very excited to try it. I just thought I should share this with you because I feel if you are, able to get these ingredients, you will be able to replicate this recipe yourself. You don't necessarily have to order from UCook or anything like that. So keen to try this recipe and really, get to find out if it really is amazing, but it already looks amazing. And the ingredients they sent me were the packaging was impeccable. Everything was so fresh. I am extremely impressed with them and their service in general. So
as promised, here is the list of ingredients that you would need to try this recipe yourself. So if you could just get the supplies, that would be really great for you to have. Just one thing to note, they have Italian hard cheese. You can use Parmesan there instead, absolutely. And they didn't mention that you need an egg for the breading process, so just add that on there as well. So we start off with preparing the salad. Super easy in this case because they've actually put together like a salad mix already. So I always wash my greens, guys, always. Just run it under a tap, and I'm using a colander in this case. Just washing my my salad, and I love washing my salad in a colander because it actually helps with drying it afterwards, because I just leave it on there on the side and it just drips dry. Well, not totally dry, but so that it doesn't have too much water on my salad. Okay, we're gonna cut a quarter of a cucumber into half moons. So super simple. If you are gonna use it for the next day as well, I would advise to get rid of the seeds because they carry a lot of water. So I didn't do it in this case because I didn't think it would sit too long and then get the water, but that is always something you need to do. Okay, we've got our black olives. These are also for the salad. I just got rid of the brine and just roughly chop them. Are they gonna go into my salad later? So my salad has drip dried on the side of the sink, and I'm also just gonna assemble it here because I'm still gonna do the rest of the recipe, and while it sits and gets rid of the water, it would be nice for it to still be in the colander. So I just always break down my leaves just a little. It makes it just easier for you to even eat with just a fork without needing a knife. So I just find it's easier to eat that way. So I always just, tear them apart a little. Okay, our cucumbers go in. This is a super simple salad recipe. I do think I probably would have added peppers, but I really wanted to strictly stick to their recipe. Because obviously there's a reason they did the flavorings and the pairings in this case, so I didn't want to really go away from that. So there is our salad. They do recommend that you actually season it as well, so that's why I'm going in with my salt, a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper in there. This you want to do right at the end though, because salt is hygroscopic and it'll basically pull the moisture from the salad, and you don't want that. Now we start with our pork. They are our Panko breadcrumbs. I struggle with this word. These are the Japanese breadcrumbs that are very crispy. And there's our Italian hot cheese. Like I said, you could use Parmesan because I don't think I've seen Italian hot cheese in stores, but if you do find it, great. This has been finely grated, so I am just mixing the two, making sure that there aren't any hard big bits of the cheese amongst this, because it won't pick up on the pork. Okay, I'm just using 1 egg. They said 2, but I honestly don't think I'm gonna need 2 because I'm just having 2 pieces of the pork. So always scramble your egg, obviously, for the breading process. And lastly, the flour. So it's a 3-step process. You have the flour first, then the egg, and lastly the breadcrumbs. So season every little bit. I mean, I didn't season the egg, I'm fine with that, but try to season as you go along as opposed to at the end. So seasoning with black pepper and salt for our flour for the braiding station. This is actually a nice way to just look at it in general. You're braiding for any kind of thing, whether you're making chicken or whatever, you should always start with the flour, because the flour helps the rest of the breadcrumbs and stuff stick onto the thing, and it's another nice layer of flavoring for your food. So I always start with the flour, onto the egg, and lastly on the breadcrumbs. I really hate that my breadcrumbs plate is quite far. I didn't notice that at first. I would have adjusted my camera accordingly. So what I'm doing currently is I'm patting the meat down onto the breadcrumbs so that as much as possible gets attached to it. So you literally pat it down to ensure that it stays on there. And down and onto the next one. By the way, these pork chops are deboned and they have been tenderized. So I would definitely recommend the tenderizing process, because these are properly tenderized, and for schnitzel and that sort of thing, you want it to be quite tender. You don't want to be pulling on it. So to tenderize, you can use a normal meat tenderizer if you have it. That'll be amazing. But if you don't have it, use anything hard. I normally use my rolling pin, and I hit the meat over with that, obviously having covered it with a plastic or something so that it doesn't split everywhere in the house. But that definitely works to tenderize and flatten my meat. Done. Okay, we are shallow frying our pork, so I am going to use sunflower oil. Love using sunflower oil when I'm frying because it has a high smoking point, and so it's very good for frying. As you can see, it's very generic what I'm using. I think it's the Checkers brand. Wait for the oil to be hot. That's very important. I'm even checking it using a bit of the cheese, and it's sizzling, which means we're ready. Go in with my pork. You'll see I use a lot of hands. So, when I start cooking, I just make sure I've washed my hands, because I hate having to be restricted to try and use tongs or whatever. If I can't, or I want to have, handle my food with my hands, I do that. I'm very I'm very chilled about that. Okay, when you're frying anything, always use paper towels to transfer it onto, because that helps just soak up the oil, because as much as it helped us get it crispy, you don't want that at the end. Okay, now we are doing our burnt butter prep. So this is the parsley. Just gonna try to finely chop it quickly because it's going to be used So it's going to be used for everything at the end, really. It's not actually going into the burnt butter, just to note that. So I chop everything and I just put it into little bowls. It just helps at the end when you're trying to assemble. Lemon cut in 2/4. This is going to go into our burnt butter sauce. It's a lemon burnt butter sauce, remember? And then garlic. That's going to go in there as well. So we quickly mincing it. Honestly, I hate doing this so much, but using fresh garlic is so worth it compared to using like those minced garlic that you find. Yeah, those garlic that you find in store already. The longer it stays in that little whatever packaging, the more it loses its flavor. And so this is literally the best you can get your garlic. So if you can spare a moment or two to do this yourself, do it. For our burnt butter sauce, we're gonna use 2 tablespoons of butter. We're using a clean pan, and then we just flavor this butter while it cooks. So they included a little packaging of like a rub of sorts, which obviously we can't replicate or get somewhere else because we don't know what's in there. However, I do know that there's definitely like a lot of mixed herbs in there, dried mixed herbs, so you can start with that and then get some kind of seasoning, like I actually use like your chicken spice and that sort of thing sometimes in my cooking as well, and I think that might be a good idea to add with the mixed herbs here. Our minced garlic goes in to our butter. Our heat is about medium heat because you don't want it to be too hot that it burns everything before it actually cooks. The aroma, as you can imagine, is just beautiful. I love the smell of butter. I love the smell of butter and garlic together. It's just a match made in heaven. So what we're looking for here is for the butter to become quite translucent and golden, and for it to bubble the way you see it is. So it's bubbling quite a bit. That's what it means for you to burn the butter. So it loses that opaque color and becomes quite golden, and that's how you know it's getting to where it should be. You don't really burn it because then it loses its flavor. You don't want that. I remove it off of the heat and I add 2/4 lemons. So a half a lemon goes in. It's interesting to know that it is very easy to actually juice a lemon if it's cut into quarters. So even when you're doing other things, always cut into quarters if you want to juice it, because literally I drained all the juice out of that. This does not go back into the heat because this is it, just a little. So we're just gonna mix it. You'll see it doesn't split at all. Actually, it works so well together, the lemon and butter. That's literally it. So the one thing that's very important throughout your cooking process should be the idea of seasoning. Seasoning shouldn't only be in like your protein or your curries. You should try and layer seasoning, as in season your starch, season the accompaniments, and season whatever the main thing is. And the reason for this is then whenever you bite into something, it's well seasoned throughout. So the most basic form of seasoning is definitely your black pepper and your salt. Easy peasy. Don't put too much that it's like, a bit extra, but so our sauce is ready. Now we assemble. So they gave me some balsamic reduction actually, and you'll see those are the little black bits that are on top of the pork. I've also poured or drizzled the pork with the burnt butter sauce. The pork slapped so hard. So impressed.